Hello, welcome to David Galata Book Dreamer. I'm David Galata, and I'm dreaming the books such as Crew of Ganges and Clockmaker, amongst many others. And today I just want to start off with a bit of an announcement, and also before I even do that, I would like to thank everyone who watches these and who has subscribed to this channel. You really help, and I so appreciate you. Thank you so much. I know it's a slow build up here on YouTube, but you know what? It's worthwhile. I've often said even just reaching out with my stories and ideas to 10 people is worth it, and you all make it worth it. Thank you very, very much. Um, in the meantime, there is one little announcement I'd like to make before getting on to today's topic, and that announcement is that I have a book signing event, first one for 2023. This is my second season of being out in the public and selling my books at events, and I'm very excited to get started. This one is going to be at the C. Simpson Used Bookshop at the West End Plaza in Broadheadsville, Pennsylvania. It will be on June 17th, day before Father's Day. So it's kind of a Father's Day weekend event. I'll be having my books, all 7 of them, on display there at very low prices. I am taking a bit of a hit, but that's okay. It's worthwhile to get the story out. And so far, people have been very happy with their purchases, and I hope that trend continues. I'm also going to be having some new products. I'm going to be having some posters signed by myself. These posters are works of art that I have created. One is going to be the cover for Crew of Ganges. This is going to be available as a small 13 by 19 poster, and a drawing that I did based on the characters of Clockmaker. That drawing was done in color pencil on Sennelier Lacarte pastel paper, and that print is also going to be a 13 by 19 signed by myself. So we're going to have some new products and whatnot coming out over the course of this year. There are other events coming up. I'm going to be basically announcing those a little bit later. Things are still, coming in. I've got my supplies. I'm all set. I got my booth. Everything with that is all set. But there are still some things I have to iron out before making major announcements. So, but in the meantime, that first one, this is how we're starting off. I'm very happy with that. But there's a couple of big venues coming up that I'm really excited about. And I think that's going to really help with spreading the word about these books. So please tell people about it. So in the meantime, let's get on with today's topic. And today's topic is going to be following fashions. I pick on this one only because I think everyone should know who checks this channel out. I'm not a big fan of following fads and fashions. I really don't. I've seen so many come and go. And yeah, it's true. If you follow some fads and fashions early enough, you're going to make a lot of money. But at the same time, it's not really your thing. I like to go out onto the fringes. I like to do things that are not necessarily popular, but maybe need a little time and attention. And that's a very important factor. Fashions are important in that they are directions in which the public is interested. However, what I've seen, especially over the last 20 years, is a real deep managing of fashion by the media and by publication companies and the arts that is at odds with the grand majority of the public. I mean, let's face it, how many people make fun of modern runway fashions? I mean, a lot, because so many of them are ridiculous. I mean, even Dali would sit there and say, wow, you guys have gone way over the edge. And they have. And that's okay. Good for them. That's wonderful. But that doesn't mean it should dictate what you feel you should be wearing. And a lot of these are so pricey and are made of such small amounts of material. It is truly ludicrous. You're paying a designer millions of dollars to come up with something that is barely there. I don't know. I don't get it. You know, I like to wear stuff that's comfortable. That's just me. And when it comes to the fine arts, I mean, let's face it. Okay, bananas being duct taped to a canvas, that's supposed to be the highest form of art. That's supposed to be an act of genius. No one believes this. No one believes this. You know, there might be a couple of people who absolutely, oh, they must believe it because it has something to do with factors that have nothing to do with the arts, like politics. But at the same time, everyone knows the emperor wears no clothes. I mean, it's just that's that's not art. It's not expressing anything other than making fun of the idea that anything could become art. And you know what? The irony isn't lost on me. It's just worthless. It's completely useless. You look at some of the pieces that are in museums and galleries today, and you're just like, why? Why even bother? You're going to find better art, more meaningful art, more emotional art in small town galleries than you are going to find in big cities these days. And that's just the honest truth. A lot of the stuff that's out there is just not worthwhile. So why do we follow these fashions? Why do we, have all these fashions, and these big companies are manipulating fashion. They're using fashion to their own advantages. They're creating a market and then creating a desire for that market, or so they think. When you look at what's really going on, it's not there. People do want to find new things to enjoy and love. Absolutely. And I'm all for that. In fact, I'd like to be part of that. And that's why I'm always on the fringe of whatever I'm doing, whether it was painting or whether it was, uh, writing books or, whatever I'm doing. I want to be on the edge. I want to be on the fringe because that is the exploration area. That's where you're hacking away at the underbrush and trying to find a trail. That to me is more meaningful. And yeah, you're not guaranteed to make a buck. That's true. You're not guaranteed that you're going to make a buck doing that. However, it expands the reach of whatever art you're involved in. And if you're exploring a dead end, well, that means that other people don't have to explore that dead end because you've already done it. But if you're exploring areas that might be interesting to people because they're looking for something new, and you find something new and interesting in exploring the fringes of whatever art you're into, whether it's music, writing, painting, poetry, whatever it is that you're doing, yeah, you're going to eventually find things that people really, really enjoy. And maybe some old topics too. I mean, the generation ship. A lot of people don't even know what that is anymore because we have been inundated with the idea of having to travel faster than light. We don't have to do that. We really don't. We may not be able to imagine right now what it would be like to live on a spaceship for generation after generation. But then when we look at our modern spaceships, they're tin cans. I mean, they're small, they're cramped, they're crowded. It looks awful. No one wants to live in that for the next 100 years. But if you design a ship to be lived in for 100 years, that's a very different animal. And that is what the generation ship is. And this could be very, very interesting as a topic. There are so many things to talk about with that idea, including how generations change, how the culture shifts, the challenges that they have that we don't have here. Maybe their whole perception of reality and life will be different from ours. That could be good, that could be bad, that could be neutral, just be a difference of opinion. And remember, opinions are just that, opinions, they're not facts. So when you look at things like the generation ship, which is a very old idea, and you breathe new life into it by showing some of the possibilities and teasing out all kinds of different ways it could work and how people might be able to survive in such an environment and actually enjoy it, that brings something new to a science fiction genre that has been inundated with the idea of going faster than light. There's also the idea of gates. Some people say hyperspace is kind of like that, and you jump into a different kind of space where the rules of nature are different. Okay, that's interesting. Or you hop into one universe and back into this one. These are gating technologies. That's also not explored very much. There are some authors out there that do that, and there are some really good science fiction that's based on those ideas, but they are few and far between. Everyone wants warp drive. To talk about Star Trek for a second there, or Star Wars with the hyperspace and all that. We want to go fast. However, the reality is we don't know how to do that. We do know how to design large habitats. And right now, one of the big problems is that some of those habitats, like there were ones where they do testing for like, Mars colonies, things like that. They put them in the middle of the desert and they make a dome and, they have people live in them for like 6 months and, see what happens. They have to grow their own crops and everything. Those are tiny. I mean, they're small. They're ridiculously small in order to fit a research budget. You're not going to learn much in that kind of budget scale. You're just not going to get the real picture. I'm talking about a vessel that is not a couple of 100 meters long. I'm talking kilometers long. I'm talking this thing is miles and miles long and miles wide. Oh yeah, that's a little different. That's a little different because in that kind of space, you can have a more complete ecosystem. The larger the vessel, the more complete your ecosystem can be. This is why Ganges, my little generation ship here, is 500 kilometers long and 20 kilometers wide in order to fit a truly rich and diverse ecosystem that will last for many, 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 many generations, especially if it's, kept in good shape. And that becomes part of the culture. This is how I see these things. And so I present them. And I have already heard back from readers that there is a lot of new ideas in this book simply because I decided to not jump in on the bandwagon of faster than light. So, not that I'm saying faster than light is bad. This is not what I'm saying. I am saying that I am not a follower of fashion or fad, and this is why. I don't want to be part of that. Hey, let's think up an idea we want to sell. Let's manipulate the market and do a lot of advertising, get people excited about it because we want to sell this thing that is otherwise not really helpful. And that is what most of fashions and fads are based on, including the political ones, unfortunately. We're not really designing things and creating things that are bringing anything new to the table. And the only way to do that, the only way to bring something new to the table for people to discuss and enjoy and really think about is to go out on the fringe. You have to be out in the deep zone so that you can discover those new ideas and new nuggets here and there. You're not going to find a whole new genre. No, but you are going to find pieces that maybe haven't been thought about before or have been thought about and then discarded because they didn't make sense during the time period in which they were made. Things have changed. Things have changed since the first books about generation ships were made. Here I'm going back to Heinlein's Orphans of the Sky, going back to Gene Wolfe, Litany of the Long Sun. These books were wonderful. They were fantastic. But there were other ways of doing these things. We used to think about, domes in space. The problem with domes is you still don't have gravity. The thing's got to spin unless you've got gravity, plating or gravity technology. We don't have that. We're still arguing about what gravity is, let alone being able to manipulate it. We're beginning to be able to see gravity waves with our telescopes and things like that. And that's great news because the best way to be able to utilize the technology is to be able to see it. But in the early days of science fiction, there were a lot of unknowns, more unknowns than there are today. So it's refreshing to take an old concept and breathe new life into it. And it was always a bit of a fringe concept. And I like the idea of bringing fringe concepts back to life so that you can explore them more fully and you can find all those new little nuggets that, because we weren't thinking along these lines, we didn't even consider this. And that may be something important for something else. Inspiration feeds on inspiration. And so breaking free from fashion and fad is what I prefer. I don't want to be chained down to a fashion. I don't want to be chained down to an ideology, a dogma, or, anything like that. I don't want to be fettered by fashions and fads. I would rather escape them. And that, I think, is what I am doing best when it comes to my books, is that I am breaking fashions and fads. I'm mixing, I'm matching, I'm merging, I'm exploring. And I would like to see others do the same. It would be wonderful to be able to expand genres such as science fiction, fantasy, mystery. There's all kinds of, thrillers, horror, by expanding those fields by breaking away from current trends and fashions. So that's my take on fashions. This is why I don't follow fashions. For those who love to follow fashions because they really, really are into it, hey, more power to you, quite honestly. But if you're tired of them, well, this is the time. This is the time to look at the self-published authors. This is the time to look at things with new eyes. So I hope you have enjoyed this little chat. I enjoyed it. Obviously, I'm very excited about it. And please hit the subscribe. Helps me out. I'm trying to build a following here. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in. I will answer them. Yes, I do. I try to keep track of that. And in the meantime, you all have a great week. I will see you next week with more topics of conversation. In the meantime, happy reading, everyone, and take care.